Yes, guys, last year I supplied you with a Superflex or 2QB draft strategy that a lot of you told me won you your fantasy football leagues. So, I am back. For 2025 fantasy football, I'm giving you the Superflex blueprint to win your fantasy football leagues. Works on 2QB leagues as well. So we will start with my Superflex fantasy football rankings, just the top 14, taking you a little bit outside round one, because I'm under the impression, right, I always approach these drafts, and we will talk about the QB landscape, guys you should be targeting, should be avoiding, should be waiting on, should not be waiting on, okay? I'm under the impression that a lot of times these drafts where 11 QBs are going in a 12-man draft in round one, 10, maybe every pick is a QB, right? 9, it's a lot for me. So, for example, I have 7 quarterbacks in my top 14 for Superflex rankings. You see the rankings on the screen. For those of you listening, I'll read them to you. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow are the top 3. Those 3 quarterbacks, if one of them is available on your screen to draft in Superflex or 2QB, I don't care if, 3 quarterbacks go in round 1, okay? You're drafting one of them. That's rule number 1. Allen, Jackson, Burrow. If you can, you are. 4th overall player, I have Bijan Robinson, Jamar Chase. So those are my tier 1 regular players, not Superflex. That's my top 5. Then we get into Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, okay? CeeDee Lamb at 8, Jahmyr Gibbs at 9, Justin Jefferson 10. Then we have Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, 11 and 12. Then Ashton Genty and Saquon Barkley, okay, to round out the top 14. This episode, and I think it helped you guys so much last year. We did the same one last year. You guys loved it. We're just going to be doing 2 mock drafts. The first one, we're going to be in a scenario where we can draft one of those elite guys, a Burrow, a Jackson, and Allen. And after that, we're going to be going in the back of the draft where we're going to have to make do with a non-elite QB. I'll show you how to hunt for the value, okay? So, right off the bat, if you play in a league where, because guys, people ask me, what's the best thing to do for Superflex 2QB? Every single league is different. Like I said, some leagues, like in my home league, we play 2QB, and we're lucky if maybe 5 QBs go off the board in the first, and that's 2QB, not even Superflex, which is different, right? Some leagues, you have 10 quarterbacks go off the board if it's Superflex 2QB. So it really matters, and I hope that this video can just be applied to all the leagues. I hope we can discuss it, and I can show you a couple different mocks. So we're going to take Team 3 here in this first draft. But before we start it, it's going to guarantee us Allen, Jackson, or Burrow. Before we start it, let's talk about basically just every quarterback real quick in the categories I have them in. So Josh Allen is the clear QB1. He's the clear best player in Superflex. It's clear. The reason is because when we look at his game log, okay, this floor of QB1 or 2, you're paying for this floor. The past 5 seasons, he's been QB1 or 2. MVP last year, prime of his career, like, he's the one. Lamar Jackson is the 2. He's not as safe. With that being said, he has a higher ceiling, honestly, than Lamar, just because of the rushing we're seeing. I mean, last year, almost 1,000 rush yards, over 4,000 pass yards, and 41 pass touchdowns. Like, I don't know if Allen has that ceiling right now. But Lamar, bit more injury prone, right? God forbid I mention that. Okay, smaller builds, has had some seasons in the past where he hasn't been QB 1, 2, 3, okay? I mean, this is his first QB top 3 season since 2019 last year. So, Burrow is the clear number 3 for me. That is slightly unpopular, but best way I could describe Joe Burrow is like a prime Peyton Manning. That is the vibe I'm getting from Joe Burrow. Safer than Daniels, safer than Hurts. They throw the most of any offense in the league. Higgins is paid. We know what Jamar does. The running game's good. Like, Burrow, guys. The defense is terrible. Burrow is seriously a top 3 tier 1 QB for me. Then we get into Hurts and Daniels. That rounds out the top 5. I think there's a clear top 5 of QBs this year for Superflex. It's clear. These top 5 guys, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Hurts, and Daniels are a clear top 5. If you can get one. If you have a late pick in the first, a lot of your QBs aren't going off the board, right? In a league like that. You take one of these guys. You got to get one of these 5. The tier drop-off between these 5 and Mahomes, Nix, Mayfield, Herbert, Williams, so there's values in there, is massive, okay? So let's just start this draft up. We are pick 103. I'm going to guarantee one of these top players. And the next mock draft we do, we won't guarantee one of those. We'll go in the back half. Maybe we don't take a QB in round 1, and we'll see how to do it, okay? So if you get one of these guys, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, I love the hero QB approach. You guys know me. The hero QB approach, which suggests that we wait on our second QB and see what type of value presents itself. With this build, okay, the hero QB, I want to try to get a running back and a wide receiver that I think have top at their position ceiling. So I'm staring right now at the running back position at McCaffrey, Achane, Irving, and I'm going to have to pause the draft, guys, and get rid of this clock because it's stressing me out. We literally have a draft clock. Okay, no limit. All right, the clock is done. Update. Hold on. Let me get out of here. Resume draft. Okay, we're back. Now I can take as much time as I want. With an Allen, Jackson, Burrow, even a Hurts or a Daniels, you have clear QB1 overall contenders. I want the same for my running back and the wide receiver. I'm going to lean on that elite QB that we were gifted, okay? So we have McCaffrey, Achane. Yeah, one of those guys would be awesome. And we have London, McConkey, A.J. Brown. Some good picks here. Let's go Drake London. He's a guy I don't normally draft. I do think he has wide receiver 1 overall ceiling. And it's going to come back to us here in the 3rd round. Let me turn my face cam off so you guys can see all the picks. It's going to come back to us in the 3rd round. McCaffrey and Achane are gone. But look at the running backs still on the board. Irving, Taylor, Jacobs. All of those guys can finish RB1 overall. So let's just go ahead and take Irving. So through 3 rounds, we have Jackson, London, and Irving. QB1 possibly, wide receiver 1 possibly, RB1 possibly. There aren't many other teams in this draft, that could go ahead and do that. Like, for example, Team 12. Sure, they could have went and got, Neighbors, Genty, but then they're looking at Mayfield. I don't think Mayfield can finish QB1 overall. So we're coming back in the 4th. And now it really is, and I don't want to overcomplicate it. It really is easy if you get one of these elite QBs. Because now you just kind of fill in your roster based on value. You look for stacks. You strike at that QB2 when it's time. Okay? And I think right now, it could be time. So Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Herbert, Nix. I love these guys in drafts. Nix has gotten a bit more expensive recently. But I prefer drafting these guys here over like Baker in the 3rd. I think they're very similar players. And you can get, like I said, Williams, Murray in the 4th round. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Caleb Williams here in the 4th. And now I view there's a bit of a tier drop-off, okay? I view Williams, Murray, Herbert, Nix ahead of Drake May, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Jared Goff. I view them ahead of those players. So we're good on our 2 QBs. Through 4 rounds, we have Jackson and Williams, Bucky Irving, and Drake London. Very good start. Let's take a look at the tight end position. You guys know me. I'm putting the face cam back on, by the way. You guys know me. I love my high-end tight ends. Okay? We have TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce, but those guys aren't even going until the 6th or 7th, so we're going to wait. We already have our QB2. Let's go back to wide receiver and running back. All right? Ken Walker is on the board. He's a big pick here. Ken Walker's the pick. I have him as a top 15 running back. Literally all Ken Walker has to do is stay healthy. That's it. Now, we label a lot of guys as like injury prone and, they can't stay healthy, things like that. But there's also other things wrong with them, like for fantasy purposes. Ken Walker, literally the only thing wrong with him from a fantasy perspective is that he's always injured. So if he stays healthy, that's a great pick there in the 5th. Back in the 6th, we are looking at tight ends. Hawkinson and Kelce are on the board. I'm going to go ahead and take TJ Hawkinson. Now, we only have 1 wide receiver through the first 6 rounds. We're doing a bit of a hero wide receiver build here within our hero QB build, okay? Looking at the draft board, our team through 6 rounds, we have Lamar and Caleb. We don't need a QB3. We have just Drake London. Then we have Irving and Walker. So, yes, it's going to be wide receiver with this pick. And who's waiting for us? George Pickens. Cowboys, top 10 in wide receiver fantasy points the last 6 years, 5 of those years. 5 of the most recent 6 years, top 10 in total wide receiver fantasy points. You're getting Pickens in the 7th in Superflex. Okay? Fantastic pick. Very, very good pick. See how this team is nice and balanced? There's no holes. We're leaning on players where we can lean on them. Their wide receivers are very deep, so what do? Lean on Drake London. Okay? Hawkinson's filled in. Tight end's good. QB's good. Balanced. When you have a balanced team like this, now you just start looking for value. We're bouncing back and forth here between RB and wide receiver. All right? Etienne's on the board. Bring him home. Lead RB in Jacksonville to start the season. He's a value in every single format there is. And we're just going to go right back to wide receiver here. So now we have Ricky Pearsall, who, by the way, is like the only healthy / willing to play for the 49ers receiver on the team right now. Jawan Jennings has just requested a trade. If they can't come to a deal, Brandon Ayuk is not healthy, doesn't even really like playing in San Francisco. So Pearsall is an absolute value in the 9th round. One of the best picks you can make. Okay. Really, from this point, guys, we just keep balancing out the roster. Now, an important note for 2 QB, which I'm making a difference between Superflex and 2 QB. With 2 QB, you need a QB3 because one of the QBs is going to have a bye, right? They each have a bye. So you need a QB3. You have to draft a good one. So like in the 10th, 11th, that's the time. Once you start hitting the bench, that's the time. So I see Tua on the board. Let me just get Tua on the team. Now, typically I'm checking bye weeks. We lucked out there. I didn't check, but Tua's bye week is different than Lamar and Caleb. That's great. Okay. At this point, guys, we have 1, 2, 3 running backs, and we have 1, 2, 3 wide receivers. We have our QB3 taken care of, and we're just going to keep bouncing back and forth between wide receiver and RB, filling in on value. All right. Javonte Williams, welcome to the team. Let's take a look at the QB landscape right now, though, and see what type of players are still on the board this late. Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith, Anthony Richardson. I'll talk about a couple of these guys. Stafford and Smith are in very similar categories for me as just late round guys who are going to produce for you. They're just good for fantasy. They're risky because they're a bit older. Geno Smith changed teams, whatever. But I mean, Stafford has Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. So hypothetically, okay, we could have gone Lamar, ran a true hero QB, okay, waited on Williams, waited on Murray, and still had Matt Stafford, Geno Smith, all the way down here. Now, it's risky. You got to know the type of league you're in. If I knew this board would have fallen like that, sure. Maybe I would have done it. Maybe I would have waited till 8 and got Fields. And instead of Williams, we could have went with a Higgins. Okay, who knows? But in general, just go and try to craft the most well-rounded team that you can, okay? Now, in the 12th, we're just, again, bouncing back and forth between wide receiver and running back, finding the value. Jalen McMillan still on the board. I think he's a value in the 12th. And then we'll end this with a running back. Hopefully, J.K. Dobbins. He does makes it to us. Okay, so that draft is done. That was an early QB build. We have Lamar Jackson and Caleb Williams, who is I don't want to say he's my guy at the QB position this year because we're a little far away from that point, but it's looking very likely that Caleb Williams is my guy for QB, which that My Guys episode is going to be lit. It's coming out in about maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks, a month. Bucky Irving and Ken Walker at the running backs. Drake London, George Pickens at wide receiver. Hawkinson and Etienne. All right, Etienne's the flex. And then on the bench, Pearsall, Tua as the QB3, Javonte Williams, Jalen McMillan, and J.K. Dobbins. So really nice, well-rounded team. What we will do now is go ahead and draft a bit later. So I'm just going to go ahead and claim this 12th overall spot here. I'm going to turn off the clock. Okay, update. I'm going to turn off my face cam because you're going to need to see who I'm drafting. And we're going to hop in. And I'm going to show you guys what to do if you can't get your hands on one of those top 3, maybe even top 5 wide receivers, QBs in drafts. So in the first, we have Allen, Jackson, Daniels, Burrow, and Hurts gone before our pick. Awesome. I'm happy they all went, so there's no temptation to draft them here. I need to show you guys how to do this. Now, this first round start is probably somewhere in the middle, okay, of most Superflex leagues. I think sometimes you're going to get more QBs off the board. I think sometimes you're going to get less in some home leagues. But we are up 11th overall, and CeeDee Lamb's on the board. He is a top 5 player for me, so we're going to draft him. Now, if you go wide receiver, top 5 player, I should say, not in Superflex. If you go wide receiver here in the first, you would be silly to not target a stack opportunity. So we will be on Dak Prescott watch. All right? I do want to draft at least one QB early, okay, in the second or third. And I like what I'm seeing right now with Patrick Mahomes on the board. He's kind of similar to Josh Allen in the point where you're paying for a floor. Not every player has Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, ceiling. Not every player has, if we're going to take it down a notch, Drake May, Kyler Murray. Not every player has their ceiling. But what is also true is that not every player has a Patrick Mahomes floor. Looking at the game log, guys, and the hate this man is getting, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons, he has finished a QB1. He has expressed after last season that he would like to get more explosive passing going in the offense. Here's the article right here. Patrick Mahomes itching to get explosive passing game back. I am a fan of Mahomes. You would think this man is finishing QB 20 overall. He has been a QB1 for Superflex 2 QB purposes. Like I said, the last 7 seasons. That is an elite floor, okay? He's never been cheaper in drafts other than like rookie season. It's not a bad idea to draft him, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to wait on our QB2. We're going to be all over Dak Prescott later. He is an absolute value in drafts. Prescott, Love, Fields, even Lawrence. This tier here, I love this tier if you're waiting. It's like not a full wait, right, where you're going Geno Smith, Stafford, but you're waiting still. So with that being said, let's look at tight end real quick. Not paying for Kittle. If McBride or Bowers was there, maybe. But at RB, we have Breece Hall, Amarian Hampton, Chase Brown. Chase Brown is the clear pick for me. So through these 3 rounds, CeeDee Lamb, Patrick Mahomes, and Chase Brown, which position is weakest? Well, obviously it's running back. We're gonna wait on our QB. CeeDee Lamb is much stronger than Chase Brown in a vacuum, so we're going back to their running back well here. We have Amarian Hampton still on the board. James Cook, don't love him. Alvin Kamara, don't love him. It's most likely Hampton, but then I see T. Higgins on the board, and I see Rashee Rice with the possible stack. Oh boy. Okay, yeah. We're going to have to wait on running back. We're going to have to lean into Chase Brown a little bit because this value that I'm seeing at the wide receiver position, where I can draft Rashee Rice, who I just drafted in the 4th here, early 4th, to stack with Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going to pass it up. Now, Rashee Rice is most likely going to be going in the 3rd round. With that being said, I mean, T. Higgins was on the board. We have Tyreek Hill still on the board. Okay, so there was a lot of picks to make there. I prefer those guys over a Hampton. I'm not going to reach on a Hampton there. Because back in the 5th, now, James Conner on the board, guys. And the Cardinals have come out and said that James Conner is still the workhorse here. Still the workhorse in Arizona. They are not impressed with Trey Benson. He is not a threat right now, and they are giving James Conner the load here at 30 years old, coming off his most impressive season from a volume perspective last year. I mean, when we look at the volume he did last year, 236 attempts, most in his career, over 1,000 rushing yards, 2nd year in a row, 8 touchdowns, 9 total touchdowns, 4.6 a carry. Like, this was a monster workhorse season from Conner. So I want him on our team, for sure. Great RB2. If we look at tight ends, we have Hawkinson there, okay? Is it Dak Prescott time yet? No, it is not. 64th overall. Okay, there's a lot of really good QBs on the board still. I'm just kind of thinking what I want to do here. I like Kyler more than Dak. Okay, what I want here is I want James Conner on the team, and I'm going to go ahead and grab Dak Prescott now, okay? 64 ADP. A little bit of a reach just on how the board's moving, but look at how well-rounded this team is. We have 2 QBs, Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott, who are very good. We have Chase Brown and James Conner, who are 2 monsters. We have CeeDee Lamb and Rashee Rice. We've managed to stack both of our QBs with our wide receivers easily. I mean, we didn't even try, honestly. Now, tight end has dried up a bit. I would love to have a Kelsey, a Warren, a Hawkinson, but that's okay. Mark Andrews is on the board here. I do like him. I might wait on him a second here, but there are options here at tight end. And it's good that we're going to have to go seek them out and find them. So, we're most likely going RB or wide receiver here. You guys know the drill. Chase Brown and James Conner versus Lamb and Rice. I do think the RBs are a little weaker, but I don't love the targets right now. At wide receiver, Aaron Jones, he's not a guy I love. Brian Robinson is a nice value. We will take him here. as our RB3. He'll slot into the flex. Now we're going to go tight end or wide receiver. I like Waddle, but I do think wide receiver is very deep, and ours are very strong. So let's go ahead and take Mark Andrews, kind of like a Travis Kelce light in drafts. I mean, just an undervalued veteran. And when you get a later tight end, say you miss out on your tight end that you wanted. Like, for example, I wanted a Warren, a Hawkinson, a Laporta, a Kelce. Now what we do is we fill it in with high upside tight ends. Like, I'm fine taking 2 or 3 tight ends in a draft, especially later, guys. I'm totally fine. So looking at the board, we have Njoku on the board, who, honestly, if I knew he'd be here in the 9th, I wouldn't have taken Andrews, but that's okay. But later on, Brenton Strange, Cade Otton, Mason Taylor, the rookie on the Jets, Chiga Conko, these are great names. We're going to circle back to tight end. Maybe grab 2 of those dudes, all right? But we need a wide receiver here. We need one. So we're going to go with Matthew Golden, come back around, and we'll take Deebo Samuel, who I think is, again, a value in drafts. Like, guys, in the 9th, 10th round, we're not going to be staring at Devontae Smiths and Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. So you got to see what you got, and I think Deebo Samuel's a proven producer in the NFL. He fits the scheme of the Commanders absolutely perfect. I know there's like, he's looking a little large in the memes on Twitter and stuff. I don't really care. Don't really care. All right. We're back now, and we're in QB3 range. So let's take a look. 2 is still on the board, but we'll go with Stafford for the QB3. Our RB targets, Jaden Blue, Bashal Tutin, Rashad White. I'm chilling on those guys for now. Trey Harris on the board. Come on home, Trey Harris. And we will reserve this last pick for a tight end. Okay? For a tight end value. Like, honestly, maybe, okay, I was going to say Isaiah Likely, and we could have Likely and Andrews, just in case, a little bit of a handcuff situation, but Likely's off the board. We are looking at Otton, Strange, Mason Taylor, and if we can get Strange here, I'm going to take him. We are up, and the final pick here is Brenton Strange, who is the tight end 1 for the Jaguars. In that opportunity last year, when he had that chance, he was awesome, so don't hesitate to draft Brenton Strange. Now, the final team, again, this was a draft we started a little later. Okay, we started at the 11th pick. We did not go QB first round. Mahomes and Prescott, 2 high floor players. And yeah, they do have a bit of a ceiling themselves. Chase Brown and James Conner, 2 monsters at running back. CeeDee Lamb and Rashee Rice. We've stacked both of our QBs. Mark Andrews and Brenton Strange at tight end. In the flex, we have Brian Robinson rotating with Matthew Golden, Deebo Samuel. Matt Stafford at the QB3, okay? Trey Harris. So guys, that is how you draft. That is how you draft for a Superflex or 2 QB league. I hope this, guys, helps you. Hope the strategy helps you out, fellas. Let me know in the comments if you're using it. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. Thank you as always for the support, guys.